Hi, fellow traders. I hope everyone had a great day. I'm going to recap my trades from today. Had three tickers on watch from the open. I had CEMP, which wasn't too thrilled about the pre-market price action or the range that it opened up in, but you got volume that came in, but it went away pretty quick. So wasn't interested in it. And PRTA was another one. This one made pretty good moves on low volume. We got some volume out of the gates, and did make a good run at a 5-minute open range breakout. That was a nice move up on very low volume. We're trading under 100,000 shares here in 5-minute lots, and I really like to see at least 100,000 shares if I'm going to trade it, but really this ticker didn't need it. Made nice moves, nice clean moves up. So if you could deal with the spread, that did end up being a nice trade. But the one that I took was DVAX, and this was a train wreck from the start. And if you could look pre-market, I was looking at the pre-market action. It ran up, came back, and it held a 20. It did lose a VWAP, but it held a 20 and pushed up out the 20 pre-market. So I'm expecting this to come down, test it again, because by now the 20 and the VWAP are pretty much together. So I'm expecting it to come back, test this, and then bounce at open and give me a nice push back up to at least this level. I didn't think it would get all the way back up here, but I was thinking it would get at least right here. But the problem was it didn't line up on the time frames. If you look at, let's look at the 30-minute, it wasn't set up for a long. The 30-minute didn't set up for a long. The 60-minute didn't set up for long. So none of this was lined up. But what made me take the trade was once I saw this, and it was setting up for a 5-minute open range breakout, but here I'm looking at the 2-minute. Now there's no reason for me to go to the 2-minute yet because it really hadn't set up. I'm just anticipating the setup. Jumped over here, got in, and because of what I saw on this candle, and ended up getting in a trade that didn't go anywhere. And then on top of that, I held past my stop a little bit longer, ended up taking 15-20 cents more loss than what I wanted to take, or what my original risk was. The only saving grace was I didn't take too many shares of this because I was concerned about it not lining up on all these time frames. And instead of me just saying no, don't take it, which is usually what my MO is, I guess the last couple of days had me feeling a little cocky, so I went ahead and jumped on it early, and it came back to bite me. But this was a good lesson for me, especially when these 5-minute open range breakouts, I have to let it set up. It can't be that it just hits above the 5-minute open range. It's got to push above it, and it has to start actively trading above it. This was only above the 5-minute open range for maybe a few seconds before it pulled back down and closed under VWAP. That should have been a sign right there for me to get out, but it wasn't. I held on, hoping that this thing was going to come back. It didn't, never did reverse. You can see it faded all the way back down to 24. This was a short setup. This was set up to go short, and if I was going to trade this, I should have traded it short, but I didn't stubborn, hard-headed, whatever the case was. I just didn't follow what the charts were telling me. And that's why it's important that we line up our trades on multiple time frames. So that was the DVAX. And then I went to looking at the reversals, because usually once my daily watch list exhausts itself, I'll start looking for reversals. And this WBMD was setting up for a top reversal. It came up and almost tapped this resistance up here, and then started to pull back. Didn't jump in it right away because I wasn't really sure. So I ended up getting not so good an entry. I got in at 64.97. That was still within my risk parameters, but I would have loved to get in this thing a little bit higher. But I did get the move down, did take profits along the way. Just wasn't patient enough to hold for the whole move down to the VWAP. That was my ultimate target. But a lot of times when your first trade out of the gate is a loss, you kind of get discombobulated, and your patience is one of the first things to go. So still, a nice trade, still a nice setup. You see it running up, ascending volume. Then you got the big volume spike here on this candle, and then you've got the sell-off, and that's just what we were looking for. So this was a nice setup, perfect. Was able to base trade off this resistance here, which is what I like to do for reversals, and ended up with a nice move. Just wish I would have held a little bit longer so that I could have got everything and hit my target, but why I didn't was understandable. The next one that I found was WBMD, and this one came up, and the resistance that I found was all the way up here at 51.47, and I didn't think it was going to get there. It did take out this resistance here, at 50, 57-ish. And this isn't exact to the penny. This is like within a couple cents, because I have to draw these so quick. In the day, they're not going to be exactly perfect, but they're going to be real close to the number. And it took this out and ran up. And so I started looking at 55. 51, because I start looking at whole numbers on these reversals as well. I look at the resistance from the daily chart, and I look at the whole number. And this one, I was kind of looking at 51, and when this opened a little bit lower, I felt it was a good setup. Again, we had volume building up. I got a nice spike in one candle, and then it started to roll over. And whenever you see this is what lets me know that I've got a good reversal candidate. If this thing runs up and the volume is going down or is sideways or whatever, it's not worth me trying it until it actually starts to run up and I get some indication that this thing is going to reverse. So I did get in this thing. I did get a decent, I say a decent entry. It wasn't where I wanted it to. I couldn't use high day as my risk like I like. Had to use 51. I didn't get in until like 50, 77. I had to mark it in because I got late, got stuck, and went ahead and marketed it in. So I got in at like 77.5 or 77.6 or something like that. That was my average, and there was a decent entry. So I got in, got some consolidation here that I held through, but I did take some profit, when it washed on this candle, and was just holding, and took some off here at the 9 like I normally do. That's was part of the plan. Then the rest of it was to come down here to VWAP. But right in here is when the price action started looking iffy. And I said, if I get a run down to the 20, I'm going to go ahead and take it off. And that's kind of what I did. It was a pretty nice trade all the way around it. Can't complain about that at all. It was something that I timed pretty good. I felt I had my timing back. Caught 2 good reversal trades. Now the range on these weren't that good today, because of the market. And the range is, I'm looking at from where it's going to reverse back down to VWAP. That kind of gives me the range, the maximum range that I could get out of a trade. But the ranges on these weren't as big. And then, as you know, after lunch, the market took a nosedive and started going crazy. So, and a lot of these tickers were just washing out. So VRX, which I've been trading a lot recently, it just completely washed out. And I thought about taking it short, but I felt I'd be chasing it. I didn't really have anything to short against. I could have done the 9 here and shorted against it, but I just didn't. I just let it come down and try to give me a signal to get in. So I got here and I tried to, catch a bounce on this thing. And I think I got in somewhere here in 97. The ideal entry on this was right over 96.79. I didn't get in till like 97.24, and it just didn't do anything. I expected it to pop through this and give me a nice run and come back, but actually I got out of it. It stopped me out, and then right after it stopped me out, here's the candle. I didn't give it much room. I only had a 10-cent stop, but there's no way I could have held this through $1. And I only had 200 shares on. So, this was kind of a pop. I figured I could get $1 pop, quick, 5-10 minutes, and get 100 shares, get $1 out of it. That was $200. That's really what I was looking at. It wasn't more of an ideal setup. It was more of trying to trade the market against itself. I see this happen a lot. That's why I was looking for it. When the market just crashes like that and then tries to rebound, you've got these tickers that try to, pop, and you usually get a big candle, 1 or 2 points, that pop up real quick. And then sometimes it consolidates and falls off. This one consolidated and made a run. I had to go to the passport office, and as I was sitting there, I was messing with this on my phone. TD Thinkorswim has a nice mobile app, and the charts look pretty much identical to the charts that I trade off of here. So it made me a little bit more comfortable trading it. So I was just playing with this, again with a couple 100 shares while I was sitting there at the post office. So did get a little bit of something out of this, nothing much. I just didn't get the big. I missed this because it stopped me out before it. But if you're curious about what setup I use or whatever and why I waited to get in, this was a reversal candle. Really, I could have got in here, but I didn't. I just kind of waited and just waited too long and, got stopped out on this. This was just crazy. Don't even know why that candle printed, but stopped me out. And there was the candle I was looking for. That was a $200 candle, that I missed out on. But had a tough day today, but still made money. Can never complain about a green day. Just bummed that I made that mistake, right out of the gates. And it's a good lesson, but it's also a good testament to me, because just a month ago, if this would have happened to me a month ago, I would have folded up like an envelope and not really traded anything. Now I'm in a different mindset. It's all about making a living, doing what you have to do to trade the way you're supposed to trade, solid, keep your head in the game, stay focused. And even after that big mistake, I was able to come back. Yeah, my patience was a little messed up, and that's always going to be something that we have to work through. But I'm a lot better. My head got back in the game. I didn't dig a bigger hole for myself. I took solid A+ reversal setups and, got my account back green on the day. This one wasn't an A+ setup, but it was something that I've seen over and over and over again, and I like to take a chance. And I don't play with big size, just take chances. And that's, sometimes that's what you have to do. You just can't throw everything to the wind. Sometimes you throw small shares out and test it. And that's when you see, Mike, or, sometimes Ross does it. They'll put a couple shares out, and once the trade starts working, they'll add more to it. And that's kind of what I was doing with this, and what I'm going to do now from now on my higher risk setups is, if I'm anticipating a move, just put a little bit out there. Don't go in full size, and then add to it if it gets over gets over a moving average, or it confirms, then I'll get in full size. I'm already in the money. I'll just add to it and go from there. So that's something that I am working on. But the biggest thing that I want to prove is, what a lot of people have questions about. A lot of people have said you can't trade, or you can't make a good profit off of a small account. You can. You just have to make sure you're educated, that you put the time in. I mean, I can't even tell you how many hours I have in studying charts, developing my setup, practicing on the weekend. I can't tell you how much time I put into this, and it can be done. You just have to do it. And you see a couple people in the simulator, they all started with 5K, and some of the profits they're making, are higher than what I've made in the last couple of days. So it's possible, and can you maintain it? Yeah, just have to stick to your plan, stay disciplined, and trade like a sniper is probably the best analogy I could use. So so day to day, did make my daily goal, did squeak it out after the hole I dug for myself. But tomorrow, looking for a little bit better day, be a little bit smarter. Wouldn't be surprised if I didn't trade at all. That a lot of times on Fridays, that's what happens to me, because right now I'm back in my conservative mode, and we'll just be looking for A+ setups. But hope this helps out. Hope my rant about my screw ups can help somebody out and help them not make the same mistake I made. But hope everybody has a great night, and I'll see everybody tomorrow bright and early in chat.